Jesus, boys, girls, in-betweeners, welcome back to part 2 of my much-promised CAMMY tutorial. This will probably be the last part. We're going to cover some more in-depth stuff here, a little bit more of the advanced tech. You know, before we even do that, let's just turn some basic stuff on because I won't be an arsehole and I want you to see this stuff. So let's turn attack data on, and let's turn Q display on. Yeah, I should have done that before I started recording, but fuck it! We'll do it live. Alright, so some basic, very basic stuff to just talk to you about, in case you don't know about the difference between a link and a cancel. Now, because these are going to be used heavily in both of them, both of them are going to be used heavily in CAMMY's combos. Now, the difference between a link and a cancel is very important because one is definitely harder to do than the other, especially if you are unfamiliar with trying to do combos. So what it basically means is that a link is when you are doing one move straight after another, and the stun that the first move gives you is just enough that the second move will connect as part of a combo. Like, for example, stand medium and stand heavy. That's 2 hits, but you saw there are 2 complete moves. First the medium, then the heavy. That's the link. So those are a little bit more tricky to do than, say, a cancel. Like, if we do crushing medium punch into spiral arrow, that is a cancel. Now, the difference is that the cancel won't wait for the first move to finish. It will actually cancel the remaining frames of that move into the next move, which gives it a lot more room to work, basically. It gives it more time, more flexibility to actually work as a combo. Now, that's the first difference. Second difference is that normals are almost always links. I had to think about that for a second. I'm a little bit under the weather right now, actually, but I persevere because you guys demand this stuff. Normals are always links, essentially. There are exceptions with like a target combo, which we'll get to a little bit later. But essentially, when you're doing normal moves, you know, jabs, hits, whatever, those are always going to be links. When you use a special move to finish a combo, that will almost always, well, actually, it always will be, it'll be a cancel. So the special move is always going to be easier to get out as part of a combo. Like, if I do it properly, crushing medium into spiral arrow, combos. Because the special will always cancel the animation of the normal before it, but links will not. Alright, so just keep that in mind. Just keep in mind that links are going to be trickier to do if you are new to the game, but we're going to cover some basic stuff that should hopefully be pretty simple. Now, next thing to remember is a crouching medium punch. This is your bread and butter for all your combos. Almost all of CAMMY's combos will involve a crouching medium punch of some kind because it's so freaking good. It's so good, I covered this in another video, it actually links back into itself. You get 2 hits off doing 2 crouching mediums. It's that freaking good. In Street Fighter 4, if you play Street Fighter 4, her crouching medium kick was her bread and butter in that game. It was definitely the go-to move if you wanted to use a combo. It's sadly not in this game. It does definitely work in certain combos, which again we will get into later. But for the most part, I want you to just basically unlearn that. If you are like me, and you are used to playing CAMMY, like Street Fighter 4, just remember that you don't want to be using crouching medium kick, you want to be using crouching medium punch for all your combos, especially if you're trying to come up with your own combos, your own variations on things I'm going to show you here. Alright, last thing I want to show you before we get into the game itself, or the combos itself I should say, is the difference between a spiral arrow and a cannon spike. Now if you look at the damage on her spiral arrow, alright, you can see the damage at the top right hand side of the screen. Alright, heavy spiral arrow is 100 damage straight, okay? Heavy cannon spike is 120 damage straight. Now, you might say to yourself, well, in that case, I always want to use cannon spike to finish off my combos. Not true. For 2 reasons. First of all, cannon spike can be a little bit difficult to pull off in some combos, especially if you are doing like crouching medium punch in a cannon spike. That's like a little bit of a wonky input, for me at least, and you may have an easier time with it, I don't know. But secondly, the CAMMY is all about positioning, and ideally, again, we mentioned this on the videos, you want to have them in the corner, you want them to live in the corner, because CAMMY will maul the shit out of people in the corner, because they have nowhere to go. She can just approach almost at her leisure, and get in there, and once she's in there, oh boy, that's when the real hurting starts. So, you want them to live in the corner, so you want to get them into the corner as fast as possible. Now, look what happens if we put Chun-Li on the central line here. Right, we'll do a cannon, we'll get her back on the central line, there we go. We'll do a cannon spike. Right, knocks her down to about that yellow line in the airfield. Alright? Now, let's move it back here again, because we're very polite. Alright, now let's do a heavy spiral arrow. Alright? Significant extra distance in that. So what you're going to have to do is that if you are trying to get into the corner as fast as possible, you want to be using Spiral Arrow as opposed to Cannon Strike. But there are going to be situations where you want to go for damage instead of Corner Carry. So it's really going to be up to your discretion, depending on where the opponent is, whether you want to go for the damage by ending your combo with a Cannon Spike, or whether you want to go for Corner Carry with your Spiral Arrow. Pretty much all these combos I'm going to show you, at least the basic ones, can be finished with either a Spiral Arrow or a Cannon Spike, depending on your preference. Alright, let's get into this. Alright, so, first thing to show you is, I mentioned this in the past video, but I'm going to show you a little more in depth now, that her Spin Knuckle will pass through the opponent when you do it really close. Doesn't work from back here. It's going to be really in their face for it to actually go through the opponent. Now, what's really good about that is that it will actually let you start a combo. So what you want to do is, you want to do Spin Knuckle into Crouching Medium Punch into either Cannon Spike or into Spiral Arrow, like so. Alright, there's a Corner Carry. So that's how that works. I'm not going to show you like a Cannon Spike on the end of it, and a Spiral Arrow on the end of everything. You can do that yourself in training mode. But that is going to be, if you want to do, you know, your pass through here, that's a really easy hit confirm, because she stays stunned for a good period of time after that hit. It's very easy to confirm off that hit, because even if you don't, if you choose to go through with that, if she blocks it and you choose to go through, you can go straight into the Crouching Medium, and if they block that, then you really know that you don't need to go into a Spiral Arrow or a Cannon Spike to finish it off. So very easy to confirm. This move is quite safe. You don't need to worry about them punishing that. So that's going to be how you confirm that move and get your damage there off the Spin Knuckle. Alright, let's keep this hype train rolling. Let's talk about the Hooligan combination. So, Hooligan combination, basically, as I said to you in a previous video, I don't really like the normal version of it all that much, unless you're doing the medium version. Because the medium version can be, well, all the special moves, let's talk about buffers for a moment. If you don't know what a buffer is, a buffer essentially means that you are doing the input of the next move of the combo while the previous move is still coming out. So you buffer one move while another move is still on screen. In this instance, if you watch the input display on the left-hand side of the screen, you're going to see me do a Crouching Medium Kick into Hooligan. And now what I did was that I actually did the input for the Hooligan while the Crouching Medium was still on the screen. So it automatically picked up that next move while it was still there, which is really good if you are trying to do things which you want to be safe, right? You don't want to be doing your, you know, Crouching Medium into Spiral Arrow if she happens to block it, because the move will come out regardless. If you do it back here, this is what's really good about buffers. If you do it back here, you can see the input. Oop, messed that one up. Right? The Hooligan is not coming out because it's not connecting, but if it connects, it comes out. So when you buffer a move, it will only come out if it connects, if the first move connects. If the first move does not connect, it will not come out, which is really goddamn handy. So let's say you're playing footsies with Chun-Li here, and you want to do a move which it's going to connect because you're in the right range for it to connect, but you don't know whether she's going to block it or not, and you don't have the positioning all the time to confirm. You do a Crouching Medium, ideally a kick. You don't really want to go for punch because punch has much less of a range than the kick does. So we can hit it from back here. We can't hit her with the Crouch Medium from there with a punch. So you want to do the Crouch Medium kick into Hooligan. Right? So you can do that anytime. From here you can walk back forth. And boom. Into your Hooligan. Now, I mentioned in the previous video again that the Hooligan combination version of the Cannon Strike, the kick, does not have a height restriction. You can do it as low to the ground as you want. Which means if you do it low enough, you can get a Crouch Medium Punch off of that as well into your combo, like so. Isn't that neat? So there's a few basics mixed up in there with the actual combo itself, which I want to talk to you about. So that's what I'm trying to say, is that basically if you're playing footsies and you don't want to do Crouching Medium into Spiral Arrow, because if that's blocked, that's totally not safe. It's like minus 13 on block. It's ridiculously unsafe. You can do it into your Hooligan and get a combo off of that. And best of all, if she blocks the Crouch Medium, you can go straight to Hooligan anyway, because there is a chance that she may be able to anti-air you out of it or do some shenanigans, but most people will reflexively block if you do a Hooligan off a blocked attack. So you can feel free to continue that combo, and when you do the spiral arrow, or sorry, the cannon strike I should say, at such a low height, it is safe. It's very safe. That's like the one really good thing about doing it off the Hooligan, is that it's very safe if you leave it to the last second. Now, it's also important that you do it low, because if you do it high, doesn't combo. I was woofing there, you heard it, and it did not combo. Alright, next thing to talk about is the target combo. Now, target combo is, for Cammy, it just is your back medium punch, which is actually an anti-air, which is very handy, into heavy kick. And you can still hold back on the heavy kicks, so you don't have to let go of back to be able to do the target combo. This doesn't actually work as an anti-air, which is really weird. You'll get the anti-air punch, which will hit them in the air, and they will fall out of it before the kick connects. So don't try to use this as an anti-air. It looks like this. That's the target combo. Alright, don't try to use it as an anti-air. You want to use it as part of your footsies, as part of the combo. And essentially what it does is that it puts them into a float state, which can be followed up with a Hooligan combination. Like so. So that's the advantage of the Hooligan there, is that it basically will, that's the only move it will cancel to as well. It won't cancel to a spiral arrow, it won't cancel to a cannon strike, it will only cancel the stand heavy kick into a Hooligan combination. But as you saw there, you can do either a regular one, or I prefer to do the EX one just because you get the faster startup and the better range on it. But also it will do something really special, is that it'll also let you cancel into super if you want to feel really swag. Like so! So there are ways you can set that up to make it a little bit more of a hit confirm, but I'm not going to go into those because they require using the lights and as a hit confirm, which is not easy if you're a newbie. I like to go for like the easier hit confirms, which are generally mediums and heavies, because you have a bit more time to confirm them. But if you are feeling pretty flashy and you do want to go for that target combo, it is a good setup for the super and the EX Cannon Strike. Now, speaking of EX Cannon Strike, let's talk about that a little bit, shall we? Because we did talk about this in the last video, that it does still have a height restriction if you don't do it off. I don't like doing it. It is faster to just do it like so. Just do it off the forward jump. But you can get a cannon spike after it. Like so. Now, what's interesting about this is that, again, it gives you a juggle state. And in this instance, unlike the target combo, is that you can follow up with any move that you want afterwards, as only certain ones will combo off of it. Like so. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, she can land on either side, which can be a little bit disconcerting. The important thing to remember is that the lower you try to hit with the cannon strike, the better chance she'll have of always being in front of you. So that's ideally what you want to do if you can do the input properly. Is that she'll always land in front of you. As you saw that hit around her knee height. And that's kind of what you want to be aiming for, because if you do it higher, as you saw there, it kind of cross-camming up in a really weird kind of way, which causes stand heavy to miss. Or a whiff, if you will. So you always want to try and aim as low as you can if you want. Also, just because the lower you go, the safer it is. This move is supposed to be 0 on block. I haven't tested if it is safer if you go lower, but I'm going to assume that it is for now. But I'm showing you this because not only can you get a cannon spike off of it, but you can also get what's called a reset off of it. Which is, a reset is where you deliberately stop a combo early at an advantageous position in order to try and go for another combo and get more damage. Now in this instance, our reset is going to be stand, light, and forward dash. So if I can do this right, that's a little bit, actually did that a little bit early. Let's try it again. Height restrictions. Right, so you see what happened there is that we finished the combo with a stand light and she landed in front of us, which allows us to follow up. So she presses buttons, hopefully she's going to get hit by the follow-up combo. Height restrictions are a bitch. Now, if you can do this properly, and it does require some specific spacing, you land on the other side, which is really neat, because then you can follow up with a combo again from the opposite side, which is even harder to block. So let's see if we can show you what that looks like. Like so. Now, the thing about this combo is that, as I said, it is a reset. You are resetting the damage, the scaling, which I can explain to you in a second, for the possibility of getting more damage, but there always carries with it the risk they will see what you're doing and block it, and in which case you get no damage, or you get white damage, which is next to nothing. So that's the risk that you get with a reset, but the risk will usually not exceed the reward if you're doing it, if you're fast enough, if you have enough pressure, and if they're not expecting it. But just be aware that it may not pay off in some instances, but you know, it's a risk that's worth taking, as long as you don't obviously do it again and again and again and again and again, because they will figure it out. Now, let's talk about combo scaling. If you don't know what combo scaling is, you can see on the top right hand corner we have damage scaling as one of the attributes of the attack, and currently it's at 80%. What that is that in Street Fighter, well, pretty much every Street Fighter for quite some time, there has been a system of damage scaling in combos. So in order to keep people from basically being destroyed in one combo, you get damage scaling, which is that every hit in a combo does 10% less damage than it should, and that affects stacks. So if you watch a one hit, it's 100%. If you watch two hits, so that wasn't a combo because I was too busy looking at the gauge, it's now 90%. So the second hit only did 90% of its overall damage instead of 100%, and that will continue to scale all the way down to 30%. So the longer a combo goes on, the less damage it does. And that also goes for V-trigger combos as well, because V-triggering will actually add an extra step and cause another 10% drop in damage for any attack that follows on during a combo. So there are instances, and this is fine, if you're just going for a big-ass combo, just go for a big-ass combo. But normally, if you want to get beyond a few hits in a combo, normally you have to start looking at spending meter or spending V-trigger gauge, at which point you have to weigh up whether it is actually worth it to spend the meter for what is going to be reduced damage on every single hit. Because if you look at my basic kind of punish combo, if like say if you get someone stunned, or you catch them trying to throw a fireball and you jump in on them, you get this. 4 hits. And as you can see, the last hit scaled to 70% damage. So it's doing less damage as it goes, which is what we just discussed. And that's why resets are good, because resets will end the combo. It starts the next, if you actually land the next combo afterwards, it starts the damage scaling all over again, which means you get a better reward for your risk. Now, let's go on to some basic combos. So bread and butter combos we want to look at are twofold. These are not optimized. These aren't the biggest, flashiest, swaggiest combos that you can do. This is a guide for beginners. So these are like the really basic combos you want to do. Now, in the first video we talked about the forward heavy kick knee press kind of attack. I just called double knee press because even though that's technically Bison's move, but also in Street Fighter lore, Cammy is also technically Bison. Look that up. It's actually true. She's a clone of Bison. She's the female version of Bison. She's the X-23 of Street Fighter. Anyway, so forward and heavy kick will get you this bad boy, which as I mentioned before is -2 on block and is really good for hit confirming. So what you want to do off of that is that if you're doing this in footsies and this just happens to connect, you want to do your crouch medium punch into your spiral arrow or your cannon strike. On this one, I prefer to do the spiral arrow for the corner carry mostly. Because if you're doing this in footsies, you're not going to be in the corner of the screen. So, and look, now we're in the corner of the screen. We went straight from the middle of the screen, a little bit, to be fair, it was a little bit off the middle, to the corner in one combo, which is why Spiral Arrow is so good for corner carry. So that's really her first bread and butter combo. And as you can see, the damage we got on that combo, actually, well, I just got erased, so we'll do it again, is 214. So 214 isn't bad, but it's not really great either. It could be better. So if you want a higher damage combo, say if you got him in the corner already, let's walk Chun-Li back to the corner now that's got her out of there. That was very clever. You want to use stand medium punch into stand heavy punch into cannon spike. So we got 228, so that's an extra 30 damage for the same 3 moves. Essentially we did 1 medium, 1 heavy, and 1 special. So that's definitely the combo that you want to do if you want to get a little bit more damage. And obviously if you do it off jump in, you get even more. If I do it right. So there, off of jump in we got 292, which is 300 damage. Most characters in the game will have between 900 and 1000 damage, so off one jump in, we got 1/3 of our life, which is pretty damn good. Let's not lie about it. That's pretty good. 1/3 life off a combo with no meter. Alright, the next thing to talk about is Cammy's cross-up, which is light kick. Now, I mentioned in the previous video that I wasn't really a big fan of light kick as a cross-up tool. I was actually mistaken about this. In the time between that video and this one, I've actually been spending quite a bit of time in the lab with Cammy, and I found it's not actually half as bad as I thought. It's still not as good as other cross-up light kicks I've seen in games, especially Street Fighter 4 with Juri's cross-up light kick, which I definitely prefer to hers. But it's actually quite good for still being able to start off combos. Now keep in mind, these combos will not be big damage because you're starting a combo with a light, so the one attack that does 100% damage is a light. So you're automatically really hurting yourself there by starting a combo with a light in it. But that said, you can still get your corner carry off these spiral arrows, and you can still obviously get your mix-ups happening just by doing jumping cross-ups instead of regulars. And also her jumping cross-up is pretty ambiguous as to where it's going to land. It's hard to tell if you try to land on her head. In that instance, it was a cross-up when I landed directly on her head. So there are advantages to it. Now, there's two ways you can do this. You can use lights, and I only mention lights because lights are a little bit easier to time. So if you jump light kick, then crouching light kick into jumping light kick into crouching light punch, I should say. You can even do it. You can even do two of them. We'll look a little bit something like this. Get 3 hits off that, and now you can finish that combo with a spiral arrow. There you go. So that's, as I said, that's kind of a tricky hit confirm, but it does have better timing to it than what I'm about to show you, because you can hit that one fairly high and you'll be able to link in the 2 crouching lights after it lands. Now, the one I'm going to show you is a little bit easier to actually perform. The timing is stricter. So what you want to do is you just want to do jumping light kick into crouching medium into your spiral arrow, which is right there. So those are 2 options. They're pretty easy to confirm, I find, if you are playing the game and you just happen to jump into a light kick. If they block the jumping light kick, they're going to block the rest of it. So if the jumping light kick gets blocked, you really don't need to follow up with anything else. You can obviously do the crouching 2 lights into anything else that you want to do for pressure. You can do the crouching medium into hooligan, things like that to keep them mixed up. But you obviously don't need to follow up with the rest of the combo if they happen to block the jumping light kicks. So that's fairly easy to remember, and it won't take you too long to figure that out on reaction. So it's a good thing to practice in training mode if you just want to set the dummy to random block and just see if you can stop yourself from performing the rest of the combo once they block the jumping light. Alright, for the final part of this, we're going to look at doing V-cancel combos. Now, you can cancel your V-cancel, you can cancel your V-trigger combo from any move. Well, not actually from any move. You can do it off specific moves. Most of them are normals. You generally want to do them off heavies, though, because heavies have the most hit stun and block stun. So even if they block it and you do a cancel, they won't be able to punish because they're still in hit/block stun. So I see people will occasionally do things like stand medium into V-trigger cancel. Not a good idea, because even though you do have the range, stand medium into V-trigger cancel is not safe. I've seen many people, I'm just building off my V-trigger here. I've seen a lot of people get punished doing that. So ideally what you want to do is, if you're doing it as part of footsies, and I should have really mentioned this in the previous video, and you just want to get your V-cancel set up, do it off a crouching heavy punch, because crouching heavy punch has a surprising amount of range. You see your arm, and you go, okay, our arm doesn't go out that far. But if you watch if we go stand on the line here, if we stand on this line here, alright, so you can see that my front foot is just on the line here. If I press crouching heavy punch, it actually moves Cammy forward when she does it. So it gets a surprising amount of range out of it, even though it looks like a short attack. And if you do it on hit or on block, you have all day. As you saw, I finished my V-trigger activation well before she came out of hit stun from that. So it's a really good move to get that off of. I'm just going to burn this off again. That's a really good move for activating your V-trigger if you just want to do it as part of footsies. But now, if you want to do it as part of a combo, we can go for a little bit more swag, and let's say we'll do it off a stand heavy punch. So let's try it again. I think you can actually extend that a little bit further as well with a crouching medium kick. So yeah, so that's a little bit more damage. As you can see, that actually scaled to 40% damage. So the final attack of that did not do very much at all. It only did 20 damage on the last hit. So as you can see, hit scaling really does build up very quickly in terms of mitigating your damage. And also, as the character's life bars get lower, they actually also start taking less damage as well. It's only a small amount, but a move, a heavy at 100% does 90 damage. If we run Chun-Li's bar down, let's just do a quick super. And we don't give her a chance to recover all that life. We'll throw it one more time. Alright, now we do it. It only did 81. So because she was lower on life, she actually started taking less damage as well. So these are all things to remember when you're trying to figure out how to get your maximum damage. Just to remember that moves will always get mitigated the lower health they are. The exception to that is your super, because supers will only ever scale down to a minimum of 50% in the combo no matter how far along they are. So if we do the same combo as before, but instead of doing can spike at the end of it, we do a super, you'll see instead of being 40, it will be 50. There we go. So as you can see, 50% at the end of that combo instead of 40, because it will never scale below 50 on the super, which is good to remember. But in this instance, you probably don't want to do a super on the end of that combo unless you absolutely positively want to make sure that they're dead, preferably in the final round, the second or third round, depending on how well you're winning. Because it's going to spend... Basically, you're going to waste your second move off your V-trigger, because you only get to do the one attack off your V-trigger instead of two, and by the time this is all said and done, there's very little chance of you being able to do another attack with your V-trigger, and even if you do, you won't really be able to get a combo off of it either. So, it's all about, with CAMMY, you got to remember basically how to manage your damage versus their life, versus how long the combo is going for, versus how much media you want to spend off your V-trigger, and your critical art. Alright guys, that's going to do it for me. I hope you found these CAMMY combos and tutorials to be very informative and helpful. I know I was a little bit all over the place with this episode, but like I said, I am a bit under the weather. If you have questions about what I've talked about here, please leave them in the comments below, and I will do my best to get back to you as fast as I can. There will be more tutorials. I'm going to do at least one more general kind of overview tutorial, because I know that people like those a lot as well. So there will be one more of those. And if you want any other tutorials, if there's other stuff you want me to cover in terms of how the game works, or maybe if there's another character you want me to run through aside from CAMMY, if you want me to do other characters like Chun-Li, or Ryu, or really anyone else, if there's enough demand for it, I will totally do it. So just leave a comment below. Again, if you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, do all those things, because I'm always going to be making more Street Fighter V content. I love this game. I'm going to make reaction videos for all the character trailers, things like that. Please spread the word. I'm going to grow the army. It'll be great. Kisses, hugs, belly rubs, and I'll see you guys very soon.